And they do that also through some form of, so through legislation and also through collaboration and what we would say enforcement. So, for example, Kenya has a very elaborate mechanism on preventing violent extremism. And if you look at their strategy, currently we are actually, the center is part of a national strategy for countering violence, violence extremism issues, and also inclusivity. Okay. So mainstreaming means that we go to existing institutions, because you know in Africa we are set up, we have challenges of resources. So we cannot claim that we are waiting for money for us to solve our security problems.
Right.
We are going to the institutions that we have. So we're using what we have. And we are arguing that if we take major pillars of violent extremism, for example, then you would find education forming as a pillar. You would find ideology forming as a pillar. You will find also the economic issues falling down there as a pillar. And most importantly, you'll find also the media and the internet.
Exactly.
Which is why we are there as a center. And if in these pillars, when you go deep into them, you can find avenues of integrating and weaving these pillars in such a way that they work together to solve peace and security problems, as far as planning to go to the lowest level of education, like primary schools.
That would even take me to the next question. I wanted to find out about in our education.
The challenge of terrorism opened our eyes in a way, because it emphasized the importance of education and the importance of literacy when it comes to issues of violent extremism. Developed. We are yet to launch it, and this curriculum is supposed to cater for individuals that are serious, a little bit of literacy on their peace and security roles, as far as and social media is there, the internet is there, and so on and so forth. So saying educationally, we also going through other institutions. So we got the madrasas, for example, where the government is cascading the educational strategy to give a better version of, say, Sharia. You know, what does Islam mean? Islamic literacy courses, you know, religious literacy courses. The government is also coming up with a life skills program, which is targeting very young Kenyans in primary school, and is instilling them with skills to prevent crime and violence, and also counterterrorism skills. And when I say counterterrorism skills, I don't mean the combat type of countering terrorism, but the idea that if terrorism were to be here, or if they were attacking you now, what would be your reaction? And we tend to tell them at a very early age that you have rogue people out there who are out to kill, maim, and destroy, and you have to watch out for them. So what do you do when you see them? That is life skills program. So educationally, we are doing, and this is dovetailing well with what we call the new curriculum with the government, competency-based learning based on competency, not based on theories and all that. So we are doing that. At that higher level in the university, we are developing, as I say, the African problem because of the Social Science Research Council, and they are wanting our expertise in helping them develop a continental curriculum, which is supposed to help universities in Africa to enhance their, and we are in the middle of it. To the exclusive representation is simply the playing around with reality, so that you break it down for people to understand. The media constructs reality. And the media can tell us about narratives that are either uniting and narratives that are either tearing societies apart. So it becomes very central and key in questions of peace and security. But the problem with the media and how it has been looked at, the media has been seen as the devil's reincarnate. In other words, the media has been demonized. You know? The media has done this, the media has done that. Part of it has been also because of how we train our journalists. Journalists are trained using Western sensational ways of reporting news. And news to them is what is bleeding. So if it's bleeding, then it's leading. If it's negative, it's good news. But we want to take a different approach. And the approach that we are taking is that development. We need development. to be at par or even surpass other continents. So that's where we begin from. So we want to debunk the scholarship that wants to celebrate the negative role of the media and critically appraise the media's positive role in the agenda of peace and security in Africa.
Yeah.
Something that the Center for Media Democracy, Peace and Security is perfectly doing a study with them about the borderlands and insecurity in those spaces, those
Right.
new spaces. But now, going back to the question of the role of the media, we are trying at Rongo University to teach new ways of reporting. And we are calling it African peace journalism, which is captured where we are saying that come to Tanzania across the border here and call it Ujamaa. But you are talking about that Africanness that celebrated peace as a prerequisite for the very existence of African societies. So we are coming up with a Pan-African approach. And we are asking our journalists, in this era of the new world order and new threats, how do you want to report about your house? Your house is Africa. Do you want to say that your house is leaking? Instagramming.
2 questions and then we'll wrap up. But before I ask the question, we say media as a positive tool. We know media and all of that. What are some of the negative repercussions on the continent through this kind of media? What are some of the challenges we are facing because of media in Africa?
I think the biggest challenge, remember when we began the discussion, I talked about a package of challenges which differ from crossing the borders into Somalia to become jihadi brides and so on and so forth. So I think the biggest challenge in Africa today is actually how the social media is being exploited. It's being used negatively. It's being used negatively, and I think that has to be dealt with, you know. Physical capabilities of social media, technological specifications of social media, interactivity, connectivity, instantaneity. All those things make it very easy for a terrorist to throw all kinds of propaganda there. And those things can be easily bought by young and suspecting youth. So social media exploited also for political violence,
Yeah.
you know, like so-and-so is this and that,
Right.
and you find violence flaring and escalating very quickly because of social media. So these are challenges that we need to deal with. But the situation should not be so gloomy, because we have cases in Kenya where the media has played a positive role post-election in terms of the violations such as Ushahid and so on and so forth. So social media can also be applied positively.
Yeah.
And to add on that, I think in November I'm actually attending a workshop in about social media and insecurity, particularly used not only in Africa, even continentally.
I have a problem with such conferences when it's being done in San Diego and not done in Africa. But that is just by the way we want to know.
One in Ghana.
Yes, of course, it's African problems, African ingrained solutions, and then but without
the future peace and security threat in Africa, without a doubt, is extremism. And extremism is a broad church. Extremism, whether it's political extremism, whether it's violent extremism, as ideological extremism, Islamism, and all those things, those are actually portending a great threat to the future of peace and security in Africa. And I think countries in Africa are really realizing that. That's why we have missions, Africa Union, UN missions such as AMISOM, IGAD initiatives across the continent. And people are really worried about violent extremism and terrorism. Initiatives are being thrown left, right, and center. Recently, there was a continental conference at the Nairobi Gigiri UN Center, funded by United Nations Office of Counterterrorism, and it featured experts who talked about extremism as a real trade area. And how will Africa unite if we are having all these kinds of insecurity challenges? So that is, to me, the single most important security challenges that is facing us today.
And finally, what is the future of peace and security in Africa?
If you get to create a chain of those champions.
Right.
And if you create a chain of those champions through educational mechanisms and media technological mechanisms, ideological, and we join ourselves together, then you'd agree with me that we'll have a strong chain of resilience. Because peace building is resilience. Peace building is nothing but resilience. So we want to create community of resilient citizens who can wake up, dust themselves, and forge ahead so that Africa can see itself as one union, one people, one nation, one peace, one God.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for peace and security. This thing you can still go back and watch it on all our social media platforms. You can watch it on your satellite everywhere in Africa. Thank you for staying tuned.
And it is brought to you by the Association of African Universities. I am Isabella Tetahinakwa.
Je m'appelle Alexandra Ampaba Johnson.
Please stay tuned. Welcome back. The Association of African Universities and the
et l'AAU Open University College organise la 6e Assemblée Générale et Conférence du Conseil africain, professionnels, étudiants, agences de développement et autres parties prenantes. Veuillez visiter WGH pour plus d'informations. Vous pouvez également envoyer un email à info@lawe.edu.gh.
The Tongji University is calling for application for 2020 entry, as well as the United Nations Environment Programme (UNEP) and the Tongji Institute of Environment for Sustainable Development (IESD) are offering
des Nations Unies pour l'environnement et l'Institut Tongji de l'environnement pour le développement durable (IESD) en sigle offrent des bourses complètes et partielles aux excellents candidats pour poursuivre des programmes de maîtrise et de doctorat. Ce programme de master est conçu pour encourager les responsables commerciaux et le personnel de direction des pays bénéficiaires. Ils offrent un programme de maîtrise de 2 ans dans le but de former des talents de haut niveau et interdisciplinaires travaillant dans des domaines appliqués du gouvernement, du commerce, des affaires étrangères, de l'agriculture, de la technologie, de l'éducation, de la culture et santé. Pour postuler à la bourse, veuillez visiter le lien qui s'affiche sur votre écran.
The Makerere University and the government of Uganda are inviting you to join the international leaders and experts for the 2020 World Health Summit regional meeting to address the biggest challenges in global health in the region and around the world. Date 27 to 28 April 2020. Venue Specker Resort and Munyonyo Commonwealth Resort, Kampala, Uganda. Topics to be discussed at the summit are the health of the African youth, advancing technology for health in Africa,
intersectoriel pour la santé et la couverture sanitaire universelle. Pour plus d'informations, veuillez contacter le Dr Charles.
The Redeemers University, Nigeria, is recruiting for position of project coordinator. Interested applicants should have university degree in a relevant field. 2 to 3 years of site-level coordination experience required. Must have excellent written and verbal communication skills. Have the ability in global health or genetics desired, as well as managing should be sent to info.acegate@ran.edu.ng. And for more information, kindly visit www.acegate.org or call +234 8068 528936.
Le Centre d'excellence africain pour la génomique des maladies infectieuses EGID à Redeemers University au Nigeria lance un appel à candidature pour le poste de coordinateur de projet. Le candidat intéressé doit avoir un diplôme universitaire dans un domaine pertinent, 2 à 3 ans d'expérience en coordination au niveau du site requis, doit avoir d'excellentes compétences en communication écrite et verbale, la capacité d'interagir avec un groupe interdisciplinaire comprenant des collaborateurs internationaux